New Congress Party witness, you are welcome to the Select Committee appointed by the Right Honorable Speaker to scrutinize Constitutional Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025. Witness, you are advised to introduce yourself so that the team can address you accordingly and know the composition of your team. I thank you for your appearance. You can proceed and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to all ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Chanda, President of New Congress Party. I'm flanked by Vice President Administration, Mr. Daniel Nyati, Chairman for Information, Mr. Erasmus Mukondo, and my Special Assistant, Francis Kafumbe.
Witness, they are free to introduce themselves in case in their own voice, in case they want to be heard.
Thank you, Chair and Honorables in this House. My name is Daniel Nyati. I'm the Vice President for New Congress Party that is in charge of administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and honorable members of Parliament. My names are Erasmus Mukondo. I'm the Information Chairman for New Congress Party. I'm humbled to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorables. My name is Francis Kafumbe. I'm the Special Assistant to the President for New Congress Party. Thank you.
Thank you, witness. I would like to ask the honorable members, starting with those on my right, to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. President and your team. I'm Jacqueline Sabao, Member of Parliament for Jigankata constituency. I'm the Vice Chairperson of this Select Committee. I welcome you.
Thank you, Chair. Witness, you are welcome. But before I go any further, Chair, I wish to begin by declaring interest. The witness appearing before us this afternoon is His Excellency, the President, who is my party president. My name is Simon Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central. I'm also a member of this Select Committee. I thank you.
Good afternoon and thank you very much. I'm Kakuvo Stanley. I represent Kapirimposho constituency, and for this session I'm part of the Select Committee.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, President NCP and your team. I'm Emmanuel Banda, Member of Parliament for Muchinga constituency, Serenje District. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President of New Congress Party and the team. My name is Siveso Kakoma Sefulo. I'm Member of Parliament for Mwanji constituency in the Western Province and a member of the Select Committee.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. President and your team. Nkombo is my name. Gary Nkombo, representing Mazabuka Central constituency and member of this committee.
Good afternoon, Mr. President and your team. Jonathan Daka is my name, and I represent the good people of Chadiza constituency.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Mr. President and your team. George Kasavira Kandafula, Member of Parliament, Serenje. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon, New Congress Party. My name is Brian Kambita, Member of Parliament for Zambezi East constituency in Northwestern Province, a member of the Select Committee.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, New Congress Party. My name is Mishek Mtetwa Nyambos. I represent the wonderful people of Chasefu constituency in Eastern Province and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Movita Anakoka is my name. I represent Luena constituency in Western Province. You are welcome, New Congress Party. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good to have you this afternoon. Mungandu Davison is my name. I represent the very good and humble people of Chama South constituency in Eastern Province. You are welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, witness. My name is Newton Samakai, Member of Parliament for Mwinilunga constituency in the Northwestern Province.
Secretariat.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, to you, and thank you so much. Good afternoon, other honorable members, our witness. Good afternoon. I am Chidimboi Elijah from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly, and you're welcome. Thank you.
Permanent witness.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, honorable members, and good afternoon, witness. My name is David Mwengwe. I'm Parliamentary Counsel for Ministry of Justice, and I'm a permanent witness to this committee.
Thank you. Witness, you are guided that before we allow you to make your submission, that would like to take this opportunity to confer you with Cap 12, which provides you with immunity against prosecution for what you submit before this committee. It's the same immunity members of Parliament enjoy before the Assembly for what they submit. That you are guided not to mislead this committee, or the reverse applies. Witness, as you make your submission, I just want to find out that your submission has not been given to us or before this honorable committee. Do you have a written submission in response to management's engagement with you? Honorable Banda, or I take note you declared interest, you are free to go. Thank you, witness. I take this that this is a response to the invitation to appear for this committee to management, and not your submission to before this honorable committee on the specifics as guided. So do you have a memorandum in response to, in terms of the specific request of the letter? Secretary, maybe I may hand over this letter which is meant for you.
Thank you very much, Chair. We received a letter on Thursday, 4th December. That was around 15:30, and we were told to make a written submission to the Secretariat by Friday, 5th December. We did a write-up which we believe is our response, and at the same time a submission to be made before this. So our response is coupled with the submission in it. So looking at the document that we received and going through, I think if you had allowed us to read what we have come, we'll also give an example of some of the strong points that would have wanted in regards to constitutional amendments. So if you can allow us to read, we'll be most obliged.
Witness, we do take your recognition of your response to management. However, as a committee, our mandate is confined to receiving your response to the specific clauses of the bill, and not to deliberate on your engagement with management. So I would guide Witness that you respond to the actual what was requested for by management. It is also okay, Witness, to say that in your response that you do not support, or it's okay to have the position as a witness, but we are constrained to engage on a letter. So we are guided to as a team, New Congress Party, to sit and make responses in line with the objects of the bill that is proposed. Anything outside that is extraneous and outside our mandate.
Well, thank you very much, and I think our submission today will be simple. We did not have the adequate time that we needed to interrogate the document, and given that the notice was too short, we strongly feel that we needed more time. And I think for now we would request that maybe the summary of our documents, maybe the Secretariat can be able to respond accordingly. But I want to state that you know, the party requires wider consultation. Tomorrow, as the President didn't ask us. We have the membership across the country, and we needed much more time, and that is the more reason why our humble submission is simple. Should this bill be reintroduced and giving us more time, we interrogate. I remember, I'll give one example. NCP is an advocate of a complete proportional representation. I remember you were Secretary General then, and I think you were there also in Siavonga, where political parties met to discuss. So we believe in certain things that are there in this bill. Yeah.
Witness, we do take recognition as a committee your concerns on time, and I would like to inform you, or we would like to guide you as a committee, that within the program of works we can still give you more time to prepare a submission. We do not want you to submit off-gaff. That is why I have interjected. We want your submission to be informed with sufficient consultation within the framework of your party system, so as I'm guiding that you engage with Secretariat, you prepare your submission, and within the program of works, which concludes at the end of the week, we are available as a committee to engage. But for this time, I would like to thank you most sincerely for appearing before us, before this committee, and we do not take your appearance for granted. You are a key stakeholder in the democratic dispensation of this country, being a political party that has representation in the National Assembly. We thank you, and we wish you well as you prepare for your submission before this committee. And I'd like to take this opportunity to lift the immunity I gave you, so that you enjoy the greater immunity that
TV, and that was the Select Committee, which has been constituted to scrutinize the Constitution Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2025. The Select Committee was expected to receive submissions from the New Congress Party. However, the chairperson of the committee has guided that the New Congress Party appears during the course of the week. So in the meantime, we do still encourage you to keep on watching Parliament TV as we endeavor to bring in Parliament closer to you. Good afternoon.
It's a land where every person is born free, and it's a land of peace, of love and unity. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave. Our land, Zambia, free men we stand in this land. In this land, beauty all around. There is no other love like a mother's love for her child. Oh, there's nobody come and take our peace away. Let no one take what is meant for all to share. This land, Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave. Our land, Zambia, free men we stand in this land. Ooh, I believe the better days are surely coming, and I believe that we can make it through the night if we lay pride aside, put a trust in God, learn to love each other. You're my sister, you're my brother. Right or wrong, together we are stronger. So don't let nothing tear us apart. Zambia, land of the strong, home of the brave. Our land, Zambia, free men we stand. This
I'm accompanied by Mr. Moses Mutonga, Assistant Director, Venon Mianda, Senior Auditor, and Mr. Luwinda Sinyani, the Planner.
Thank you. Accountant General's Office, followed by the Office of the Controller.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, PS and your team. My name is Joseph Mutimushi. I'm Chief Accountant from Office of the Accountant General. I'm accompanied by my colleague, Mr. Oscar Nyirenda, Accountant. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and members. Good morning, PS. My name is Ndion Diochkuba. I'm from the Office of the Controller of Internal Audits. Thank you.
Thank you. Parliamentary staff, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. My name is Priska M. Shimalungwe, and I'm from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. My name is Leon Hangala from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, PS and your team. I'm Warren C. Mwambazi, Member of Parliament for Bwanamkubwa constituency, and I'm the chairperson of this committee. PS, before I allow you to proceed, the honorable members who are joining us, you can proceed and introduce yourselves.
Chair, thank you very much. I am Imanga Omnyima Jr., a Member of Parliament for Nalolo constituency in Western Province and a member of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, witness and your team. Lomai Victor, my name's representing Chafuma constituency.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, witness. My name is Aswongile Mwamba. I represent the people of Kasama Central constituency, and I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee. You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness and your team. I'm Jacqueline Sabao, Member of Parliament for Jigankata constituency. I'm the Vice Chairperson of this Public Accounts Committee.
Of this committee. Thank you. PS, I'm Warren C. Mwambazi, Member of Parliament for Bwanamkubwa constituency, and I'm the chairperson of this committee. PS, you can proceed and introduce your team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to the honorable members of this committee. I am Mwalusaka Frederick, the PS for Transport and Logistics. I'm accompanied by my colleague from the Ministry of Justice. I think she can introduce herself. Then my members of staff will introduce themselves as well.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Monya Kaila Wale, Permanent Secretary in charge of Legal at the Ministry of Justice.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members. My name is Annie Mpambachkwanda. I'm the Director of Finance at Transport and Logistics.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Christopher Chitako, Director, Government Printing Department.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Stephen Mbewe. I'm the Director of Planning and Monitoring in the Ministry of Transport and Logistics.
Good morning, Chair and all honorable members of Parliament. I'm Harriet Mwala, Head Procurement.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Comfort Mlenga. I'm the Acting Chief State Advocate, Attorney General's Chambers.
Thank you for the introductions. PS and your team, you are conferred with immunity in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, which gives you immunity to make submission before this honorable committee. PS, you were advised, I think there are some issues which emanated from your submission last time we were before this committee, which we wanted you to bring more information and also bring people who can help to mitigate or answer some of those queries. So, PS, if you have a submission to make, you can proceed and make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. When we met with the committee last time, the guidance was for us to ensure that we have Ministry of Justice with us, and also to ensure that we have representation from AUFS. We did communicate through the mission. However, we've not been able to get feedback in terms of the participation of AUFS. So you'll notice, Chair, from the introductions that AUFS are actually not part of this delegation. I wish to submit, Chair, premised on our engagement, previous engagement with this committee, and in particular in view of some of the questions that were asked, where at the time we could not give responses because we needed to go back and review the trail of transactions. And Chairperson, I wish to submit this memorandum to respond to those observations raised regarding to the procurement of the computer to plate equipment. I wish to place it on record, first of all, my appreciation for the oversight role of this committee and the work of the Auditor General in highlighting procedural gaps that require administrative attention. Honorable Chairperson, based on a retrospective timeline analysis of the procurement stages and the documentation previously attached, I fully acknowledge the observations that were made regarding the lapses in this transaction, and specifically, I wish to admit to the committee, Honorable Chairperson, that payment for the CTP machine was effected to the supplier based on an invalid purchase order prior to the signing of a formal contract. And with hindsight, I do also recognize that under Section 72, subsection 2 of the Public Procurement Act, this invalidates any purchase order that is issued without the prerequisite approvals, including the clearance from the Attorney General. While the contract had been submitted, Honorable Chairperson, to the Attorney General's chambers for review at the time of payment, the necessary clearance had not yet been granted, and therefore proceeding with this, without this final clearance was indeed a procedural failure. A critical review of the procurement timeline reveals that the advance payment guarantee was obtained by the supplier on dates prior to the formal issuance of the notice of award, and I do acknowledge that this sequence is highly irregular and understandably raises concerns regarding the integrity of the procurement process, specifically the risk of collusion or fraud. Honorable Chairperson, while I do not seek to justify the procedural departures, I wish to assure this committee that these decisions, albeit procedurally flawed, were made in good faith and with the sole intent of expediting the modernization of our printing capabilities. I must also emphasize, Honorable Chairperson, that despite the absence of a perfected contract, at the time of payment, the government has suffered no financial loss, and in particular, the computer-to-plate system was successfully delivered, the equipment has been fully installed and commissioned, and the system is currently fully functional, serving its intended purpose. Honorable Chairperson, the urgency to operationalize the CTP drove the management team to parallel track certain processes which regrettably resulted in the breaches identified. The gaps highlighted are deeply regrettable, and I take responsibility as controlling officer for these omissions. Chairperson, in terms of the way forward, and to ensure that such lapses, specifically the issuance of payments without the requisite approvals and irregular time management, do not occur, I have instituted the following measures. 1, mandatory compliance checklist. I have directed the procurement and supplies unit to implement a strict compliance stopgate, and this means that no purchase order or payment voucher will be processed by finance without a physical copy of the Attorney General's clearance and a fully executed contract. Strengthening Ministerial Procurement Committee. We are reviewing the operations of our Ministerial Procurement Committee to ensure that they rigorously scrutinize the chronological order of documents, specifically verifying that all processes are aligned with the dates of award and contract signing. In terms of capacity building, I am arranging for immediate sensitization for all procurement, finance, and other user department staff regarding the implication of Section 72 of the Public Procurement Act to reinforce the legal weight of invalidating unauthorized commitments. Installation of Smart Office Management System. Chair, we have installed in the ministry, with the assistance of Smart Zambia, a Smart Office Management System that will help us track all assignments, workflows, and documentation so that delays in processing work is mitigated. Disciplinary action. I have initiated an administrative review to determine the individual officers responsible for authorizing the process flows out of sequence, and appropriate disciplinary measures, Honorable Chairperson, will be taken in accordance with the Civil Service Commission policies. In conclusion, Mr. Chairperson, I reiterate that the Ministry of Transport and Logistics is committed to the prudent utilization of public resources. We have taken the committee's observations seriously and are working to close the gaps to protect the integrity of future procurements. Honorable Chairperson, that is my submission on the procurement of the CTP machine. I also wish to submit on the procurement of the pontoon materials, which is similar to the CTP. And Chairperson, I submit that this memorandum responds to the observations raised regarding to the procurement of pontoon materials for the Maritime Department. I wish to place on record my appreciation once more for the oversight role of this committee and the work of the Auditor General in highlighting the procedural gaps. Sorry for that. I thought I had reduced the volumes. Apologies, Chair. So I wish to place on record my appreciation for the oversight role of this committee and the work of the Auditor General in highlighting the procedural gaps that require our administrative attention. Context and justification for the sequence of events. Chairperson, the sequence of events in this procurement was primarily driven by the interplay of timing, constraints, and urgent operational needs. The pontoon materials were required urgently to keep waterways operational and to prevent potential calamities and disruption to transport services in critical areas. The draft contract was submitted to the Ministry of Justice for clearance on December 27, 2024, However, the Solicitor General's clearance was delayed due to the high volume of contracts reviewed, which is typical of the end of year. The supplier Menov Trading Limited had stock ready and was able to meet the urgent operational deadlines and commencing deliveries in batches starting 3rd of January 2025. Honorable Chairperson, notwithstanding the operational urgency, I fully acknowledge the observations made regarding the procedural lapses in the execution of this transaction. Specifically, I wish to admit to the committee that the 50%, the facilitation of the payment and acceptance of delivery premised on an invalid local purchase order occurred while the contract was still pending a final clearance from the Attorney General. Although the notice of award was issued on December 27 and the supplier had accepted the terms, the formal clearance of the draft contract was only finalized on February 24, 2025, which meant that proceeding with the execution before this final legal clearance was a procedural gap that is deeply regrettable. Chairperson, I wish to assure this committee that despite the administrative delays in contract clearance, the ministry acted to protect government interest before allowing supply to. And in this case, the supplier submitted the performance bond on November 8, 2024, ensuring coverage against default. The ministry had already approved the necessary funding variations on November 21, 2024 to ensure legal budget coverage, and the supplier formally accepted the revised terms on December 23, 2024. Thus, while the legal clearance was pending, the government was not financially exposed, and deliveries were aligned with the operational urgency rather than an intentional bypass of procedure. Chairperson, I confirm that the government has suffered no loss in this case. The materials were successfully delivered in batches on January 3rd, February 8, and March 15, 2025. These materials have been deployed to ensure the continued seaworthiness of our pontoons, preventing service disruptions and averting possible disasters. Chairperson, to ensure that such lapses, specifically the commencement of delivery and payment prior to formal contract clearance, do not reoccur, I have instituted the following measures. As indicated already, we've put in place a mandatory stopgate, directed the procurement and supplies unit to enforce a strict rule where no delivery, acceptance or payment processing occurs without a physical copy of the Attorney General's clearance and a fully executed contract. We are improving our planning cycle to submit contracts for clearance well before the end of year peak period to avoid these administrative bottlenecks. Chair, we have installed in the ministry, with the assistance of Smart Zambia, as I've indicated, a smart office management system that will track all assignments, workflow, and documentation so that delays in processing work is mitigated. I've spoken to the issue of capacity building. We are conducting training for our procurement staff to better manage synchronization of operational timelines with legal compliance requirements. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, the Ministry of Transport and Logistics remains committed to the prudent utilization of public resources. We acknowledge the procedural gaps and have strengthened our internal controls to ensure that in future and payments does not commence before formal contract clearance and signing. I wish to submit, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, PS, for the submission. Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from the PS on these two items, the pontoon materials which were procured And I think you remember what transpired, I think what was queried, as well as a CTP machine for government printers. For me, PS has highlighted mostly on measures it's taking, which means what transpired. However, the query still stands, and honorable colleagues, points of clarification. We still have the issue of is it AUC?
AUFS?
AUFS. The issue of the Wavis Bay contract, Africa Union Cargo. We wanted representatives from there, but PS has indicated that he did communicate with the mission, and we haven't, I think, you shed more light. So you can proceed to ask questions. Honorable Miller can proceed. And also PS from Justice is here. I think this emanated from the issue of the clearance. So honorable colleagues, you can ask points of clarification to that effect. Honorable Miller can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll direct my clarification on the CTP machine. PS, as the Chair has said, your submission with further details is well appreciated. So I want to get clarification further, especially that on page 6 of your submission for the CTP, you have made emphasis that despite the absence of the perfect contract at the time of payment, the government has suffered no financial loss. Now, PS, this was a direct bidding, and we are all familiar with the conditions under which direct bidding should take place. Here you talk about the agents to operationalize the CTP, draw the management team to parallel track certain processes. So basically you are relying on the direct bidding, you are relying on the agents why you did direct bidding. Now I've looked at your timelines, starting with the request for authority from the user department, which was received by your office, I should say, office of the PS, from the director government printers. The request was received on 27th of March 2024, and according to your timeline, on line number 21, delivery notes, I want to assume that this is when the item was received, in July 2025, 1 year, 4 months after the request was made. Does this still justify the agency? How does something that is urgent take 1 year, 4 months to be delivered? And so, contrary, I think, to your submission, I believe that government possibly lost or suffered financial loss if you had opened up the bid, because 1 year, 4 months really does not justify the agency and all these procedural flaws that have been justified. So please submit to the committee. When did this machine, was it a breakdown or it was a brand new that you were buying? The request to procure was obtained in March. When did it break down for you to justify the agency? And if 1 year, 4 months still falls within the justification of the agency? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mukumbi.
Thank you, Chair. PS, I've gone through your sequence of activities there. I just want to understand, before I ask a further question, whether at this particular time you were the one in office, and secondly, the procurement officers that are cited here, are they still in the ministry? Because my question would be on your remedial measures here. So before I ask, I want first to understand, because there's a component where you are trying to say you need capacity building for your staff. So which staff? So first you answer that, then I will ask later. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Lumai can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think, Mr. Chairman, since the two colleagues have asked the two questions, I will direct mine to the PS Minister of Justice. PS, this committee has struggled. The coordination between your ministry, Minister of Justice, with the sole responsibility to help clear the requests from ministries. The committee has learned that certain requests take longer than expected. So we want your justification as the Minister of Justice, why it takes so long for you to attend to the requests made from the ministries, and what is in place to ensure that in the near future you are attending to the requests made from these ministries. Mr. Chairman, I submit.
Thank you. PS Transport, you proceed with the two questions. Then the PS Minister of Justice, you answer Honorable Lumai's question after your colleague has answered. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. To answer, I think it's Honorable Mukumbi's question on whether at the time I was actually in the office or not. I wish to submit and put it on record, Honorable Chairperson, that at the time the payments were done, I was actually on leave. But nonetheless, I do still take responsibility, because as controlling officer, I think it's incumbent upon my office to ensure that we have an adequate control environment that should have captured the irregular payments before they were actually effected. Chairperson, with regard to the procurement unit, I must state that at the time the head who was there was actually in acting capacity, and we have since gotten a substantive head procurement, I think with effect from September, if I'm not mistaken. So the person that was acting in that office has since moved to service management division, but nonetheless she's here with us. And so if at all there are any questions pertaining to the procurement unit, I'm sure I should be able to respond to that. Issues of capacity building also coincide with the fact that we actually have received, I think it was last year or early this year, we had received a number of queries from the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, where they noted certain omissions, and in terms of the procurement processes. So we did write to them to request that they come, first of all, they come and do an audit of our processes, and after that we would also like them to essentially proceed and do capacity building our staff in those areas where we find that we have inadequacies. Chair, I wish to respond to Honorable Mwila's question. Looking at the timelines, when this procurement started in 27th March, up to the time that the machine was delivered, whether the agency still qualifies. According to the submission that we got, Honorable Chairperson, as a procurement committee, and the justification that the user department put, I would say that notwithstanding the length of time that it had taken, the urgency on the ground was actually real. because when you look at the government printers, some of the documents that they are dealing with are documents that are very sensitive and are of a security nature to the country. And because of that, at the time that the request was also being made, the CTP that was there was obsolete, so they could not use it, and we were essentially subcontracting the works to private printers to print those documents on behalf of government. So we felt it necessary that it was prudent for us to our own CTP so that we can containerize the work or the sensitive work that needed to be printed by government printers. Regarding the possible loss, had we opened up this particular procurement, Chair, I wish to submit that the supplier for the CTP machine in South Africa is the sole representative, and even if we had opened it up, most likely the people that we were going to deal with were probably going to go back to the supplier that we had already gotten in touch with. And this speaks to the fact that or the reason why we actually did a direct bid, because we were dealing with the sole supplier. And in the pack of documents that we submitted, there's actually documentation to that effect. I hope I've adequately answered the questions, Chair.
Yes, Honorable, a follow-up question.
Yeah, maybe just to further explain on that. When did the machine break down? At the time that the request was coming for procurement, had it completely shut down, and for how long had it been shut down? Submit.
Thank you. PS, you can now Honorable Mukumbioke can do your follow-up.
Thank you, Chair. PS, you have a new substantive officer in procurement, and probably maybe even the others have been changed. You still want to conduct training and workshops. You are aware that workshops are very expensive, because people have to be taken to a place where they'll be trained from, or whether it is in-house or so. Somebody has to come and train them at a cost, of course. Why do you want to continue with trainings if you have new officers that are well capacitated? Are you confirming to this committee that you still have gaps in the procurement system? Your people are not well capacitated. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed. When you are done, PS Justice, you can answer the question from Honorable Umai. You can proceed, PS.
Thank you so much. So to answer the question on when did the machine break down, as I indicated in my explanation, Chair, by the time the request was coming on my table, we were already subcontracting the works to private bidders. But maybe I'll allow the Director, Government Printers, to just speak to that aspect on when the CTP machine broke down. With regard to the procurement unit and why we want to undertake training, first of all, I must mention, Chair, that training is a continuous process. And also to mention that the change that we've had is essentially at the head procurement level. So most of the staff that were probably involved in this procurement are still there. And we need to make sure that we are fully aligned, especially considering the differences between competitive bidding, let me say simplified bidding, and the open bidding, which is competitive above $1 million. In terms of application of the law, I think we need to be very clear so that we are operating on the same page. I submit.
Thank you. Director, Government Printers, we finished that, then PS comes in. And proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Part of it, in my response, PS has mentioned, or has responded to it, that the machine was obsolete, because this kind of equipment that we're using, even head of the company that manufactures them, I'm talking about the equipment that we're using, that stopped manufacturing the type of that equipment. So it had shut down completely. As to when exactly the machine broke down, I don't want to mislead the House, but it was prior to the time that we started this process. I submit, Chair.
PS, we can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members. I'm grateful for the question that has been asked. The biggest challenge, Chair, is that the department that is in charge of reviewing contracts sits with 17 officers, and on a monthly basis we receive about 1,500 contracts. That's in exclusion to MOUs and other matters that they deal with. So this poses a huge challenge, especially dealing with 24 ministries and all statutory bodies falling under those ministries. You will note that each ministry has not less than 5 statutory bodies whose contracts all have to be approved. What have we done going forward? Aside from the fact that the Ministry of Justice is a training ground and we have staff attrition every month because ministries are pulling out officers, including Ministry of Transport. The lady who is there is actually coming from the Ministry of Justice. It has reduced our numbers on a monthly basis and also hampered the way we're doing things. But one of the proposals that we have had is to assign officers to specific ministries to see how best they can deal with the sector subjects. But what we have noted is that no one is immune to challenges. These ministries tend to have them as desk officers, and familiarity breeds, and we have to do a rotation, which has not worked very well. Aside from that, Chair, we have embarked on an exercise of coming up with the Attorney General's bill, which will more or less hive off the Attorney General's chambers to make it more efficient, to be able to retain officers and to more or less give them better conditions of service considering the workload that they have. This matter is still in the pipeline, and it is one of the aspects that we have adopted as a solution. But aside from that, we have also specific departments that we have chosen to take positions from. So if it's, for instance, under the governance department, we have lost a deputy director in that department, so we have asked for Treasury Authority for 3 positions so that they can more or less cushion it. But without the Attorney General's bill, the challenge will always be there because officers are being demanded. Right now, my office is inundated with 16 requests for officers. Now, if we were to give these ministries these 16 officers, would only remain with a director. So it's a huge challenge, but we try and see how best we can deal with it with the few officers that we have. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lumaya, you have a follow-up question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the submission by our PS Justice now brings June to this committee. Because, Mr. Chairman, if they have 17 officers and they need to deal with about close to 1,000 per month contracts, then the challenge is huge and it needs urgent attention. So the question I have for the PS, Mr. Chairman, PS, do you have reviews for these contracts which come from ministries to see which contracts needs urgent attention from your department, or it is just as they come, you deal with them as they come? Because, Mr. Chairman, 17 officers against 1,000 contracts is not a joke. So when do you intend to bring that bill?
Thank you. Honorable Mwila.
Thank you very much, Chair. PS Minister of Justice, your submission is noted, but I think I'll take this privilege to feed back to you that this case we are handling is just one of the many that are attributed to your office delaying clearing the contracts. And the consequence is this now, that procurement procedures, are forced, to be bypassed as a result of the documents taking too long in your offices. Other consequences even affect commencement of projects and affecting the funding cycles. So really there is a problem in your office. Let's establish that. But when this CDF, enhanced CDF started, we had similar challenges, not just your office. Accountant General also had a similar issue, but they quickly intervened by decentralizing, you know, some of the processes that used to come only to Lusaka, but now can be handled at a provincial office. Are you considering taking that route of decentralization? Because really bringing everything to Lusaka from the whole country, from the ministries, including the authorities, is not going to sort out this problem soon. Any plans for the decentralization of particularly clearance of contracts so that we do not risk financial loss as in this case? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. The concern that has been noted by the Honourable Member on behalf of the committee is well noted in terms of the delays that have been experienced, which will not object to or try and give a defense, but that in not any way gives any institution any right to flout the laws by bypassing procurement issues, and so we cannot be held to account for that. In terms of the key reviews that we have as a ministry, there are 4 ministries that are considered as priority. Whenever we receive the contracts, we tend to act very quickly on them. So that would be health, energy, finance, and education. But even when we assign these number of contracts, these particular areas, we still have delays because of the huge workload. As regards decentralization, the decentralization actually has begun with the Attorney General's chambers. We have legal counsel in all the 10 provinces, but the biggest hurdle is our Article 177 of the Constitution, which states that all contracts in which government has got an interest will be cleared by the Attorney General. So even as we have devised this beautiful mechanism of having officers in the provinces, they still have to come back to HQ. And the Attorney General still has to clear them. We cannot delegate that mandate to an officer in the provinces, unlike the instance for our colleagues under the Office of the Accountant General. So then, even in that regard, you'll note that there are a few contracts that have had certain complaints under CDF as well. So the mechanism that we are seeking to adopt right now is the case flow management system, where everything comes electronically from the point that the officer receives it in the province right through to the time that the contract is reviewed and is eventually approved by the Attorney General. With that particular system, we'll be able to point out where the delays are, where the hurdles are, and how we can overcome them. Having done capacity building as a Ministry of Justice throughout the country, we've noted that most of the challenges with respect to the contracts emanate from the local authorities, and this is really a back and forth between the legal counsel and the procurement department. So to try and alleviate that challenge, as part of the process, we've even said we have a template contract that you can deal with for key projects in the provinces, because you'd be talking about hospitals or schools and then equipment. So we have tried to also come up with that template contract, which will just change with respect to the specific conditions that would be attached. So those are some of the issues that we are putting in place. Unfortunately, we were unable to conclude the case flow management system because we did not have sufficient resources, and this is an aspect that we'll deal with in 2026. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, PS, for submission. PS, Transport and Logistics. As you are making your submission and justification, I was listening attentively.
Recording in progress.
As well as when members were making asking questions. But what I'm failing to reconcile is that you made that 50% advance payment before the contract was signed, and I do also agree with PS Justice that even if there's a delay, that does not give you leeway to proceed before clearance. And again, PS, you submitted that you were subcontracting works. I think also augmented by your director. Now what I'm trying to understand is if on the other side you are subcontracting, there's a delay on the contract clearance, I think there's no agency, because you can still subcontract and do not flout the law or go against the procurement procedure. So that's what I'm trying to understand. And again, in your submission, you say no, there's now the new guideline where you're saying procurement should make sure that there's a clearance and all that. I think that's a notorious fact, because even before you proceed to make any advance payment, I think what comes in is the contract has been cleared by Attorney General. Okay, bonds are provided. Then now we can proceed and pay. That's why for me this invalidates your submission on the aforesaid. That's why I'm asking to say, first, you're on leave. I want to know was the acting PS who signed. I also want a proper justification, because I think this issue of you are already subcontracting. So agency and this thing, I think my colleagues have looked at it and said, I think delivery was done after so many months. I don't know if it's delivery or performance of the contract. I stand to be corrected. But I think what I'm trying to make you understand is there was literally no agency. If you are already subcontracting and the contract is in place, just pending clearance, I think what comes in is mitigate, then go against, and then that becomes a reason. That's my my thinking. So for me, I want people who approve this payment, the same procurement people who was the acting PS then, who did approve this payment, who have a position already, and then we start making progress. But I just want those things highlighted. And also, I don't think we admit that reason of agency, because I think we've looked at adduced what you've brought before this honorable committee, and we'll have position on that. So PS, Honorable Daka, I want to ask something. Okay, we can proceed, PS.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. I think, like I did indicate, when the submission was made to my office and the reasons were given at the time, it did appear that this was an urgent matter that we needed to address, so that we curtail the subcontracting of sensitive information to private parties. But nonetheless, like you've mentioned, Chair, that agency essentially is disqualified when you look at the timelines themselves. Because if it was indeed a very urgent procurement, we should have done everything possible to ensure that the CTP is delivered within the shortest possible time. And looking at the timeline
in progress.
From March 2024 and delivery in July 2025, clearly that does invalidate that sense of urgency. In terms of people that were acting at the time that I had gone on leave, my colleague, Director Planning, was acting in the office of the PS. I think that was from early December up to 2nd of January when my leave ended. I submit.
Honorable Daka, you can ask your question. Then the one who was acting PSA director, I think I just want you quickly to bring us to speed why this payment was done without clearance of the contract by the Attorney General, and maybe probably how your officers advised for the aforesaid to happen. You can just take note of that question, Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair.
In progress.
Chair, thank you, Chair. My question goes to PS Justice. PS, you have submitted that you have presence at the provincial level, if I got you clearly, and regarding the fact that you have got presence at that level, you still have to come to for approval. They still have to send the
to Lusaka. Yes, then what is the use of having those offices if actually by the end of the day all contracts have to end up being in Lusaka? Why did we establish those offices for? What is the purpose of those offices? Number two, why don't you consider standardizing these contracts so that you make it easy for the 17 officers that you have? Because if the contracts are standardized, it's easy to check through whether they are in compliance or not. So, Mr. Chairperson, these are the two areas where I would want PS to shed more light on. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you. The one who was acting PS Director Planning, there's that question. And also the procurement people were there, I think, who generated those requests for payments. You can, I think, Director, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, as the PS has put it, the advice that I got from the staff was that this was required urgently. But if you recall, in our second appearance, the issue of the funding having come a day just before the close of the year, and the Ministry of Finance not allowing us to be able to retain any monies in the following year to be able to facilitate the payment.
I think my question is, I do hear your explanation, but my question is more on when the payment came for approval. I think, Director, you're a veteran. I'll call you that because I know you've been in these various ministries. Because what I want to understand is procurement knows, accounting officers know that before an advance payment is made, you are paying based on which contract? Imagine you make a payment, the contract is not cleared. Then what insulates you? That's what I'm saying. When these documents came to your table or through your system, if it's if miss, of course there's a file accompanying to show the prerequisite of documents which are needed for you to proceed and approve the payment. So my question is, did procurement attach the aforesaid documents, and also did explain to you that the contract is not cleared yet but want to go ahead and pay, and what was the reason to that effect? That's what I want us to deal with. So the Director of Planning can proceed, and then the procurement you explain after the Director. So Director, you can proceed.
Chair, the agreement wasn't attached at that time. What the procurement team had advised was that based on the security document they had provided, that the government would not incur any losses, and that there was engagement with the Ministry of Justice to try and clear the agreement as expeditiously as possible.
Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from the Director Planning. Procurement.
Chair, I want to submit that at the time we were submitting the payment, and as at now, I consider a local purchase order to be a contract when you are getting procurements. At the time that we were making the payment for the CPTP, we considered the local purchase order as the contract to go ahead and pay for the advance payment. And on the periods that it took so long, the process got protracted because of the procedures. First of all, we had to go back to ZPPA, request that we procure this item outside the EGP, which took a considerable amount of time. Again, when the bids were submitted, we got protracted when we heard that, from the documents, we noticed that what they were requesting for, that their policy is that advance payment should be made and at 50%. Actually, the 50% was negotiated. They wanted 100% full payment at the time for them to start manufacturing the equipment. That's how it got protracted, seeing that it took a bit of time to get all those approvals, because at first we got approval from the Secretary to Treasury on the payments, if we can go ahead with the 50%. And then when Secretary to Treasury said that, no, we cannot give you this authority, request from ZPPA, the authority to pay at 50%. Then again, we had to write to ZPPA. So all that was the time taken. Otherwise, this procurement should have taken very short. It should have been a very short process, not the way it had taken. I submit, Chair.
Procurement, you are now taking us to another 10. Honorable Mkumbi, you can proceed. Then Honorable Mwila and Honorable Mai was at the hand. Switch off the mic, procurement. Then after that, I'll allow Auditor General to give a comment.
Chair, we have a submission from the PS. And in his submission, the PS has told the committee that payment for the CTP was effected to a supplier based on an invalid purchase order. Our procurement specialist is saying everything was in order. So we don't know which is which. We have a submission from the PS, and then we have also a oral submission from our colleague behind here. So which is which? PS, you are also saying you are going to discipline some people as part of your measures. And I take note that one procurement officer, or the one who was acting, was transferred, probably to take problems to another ministry. The people that approved this are still here. Director is here, who was acting as PS. So I don't know whether being proactive or being reactive in this case, because this took a long time. This was done a long time ago. But you haven't even punished anyone. You are saying you will. Appropriate disciplinary measures will be taken. So nothing has been done so far, but you will. When do you intend to take these measures? Chair, submit.
Thank you. Honorable Mwila.
Indeed, Chair, I think everything has been flowing okay until this submission from the procurement. And I wanted to repeat what she said, and if that is the case, that at the time of making the payment and until now, she considers the local purchase order to be the contract. Until now, that is my concern, Chair, because we have established both from the Procurement Act and the submission by the PS. The procurement officer is still insisting that even now she believes that the purchase order is a contract. Is that what we should take on record, Chair? I think she needs to come back and say what she, if she means what she said. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lumai.
Mr. Chairman, we wait for the submissions from the two questions.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer the question from Honorable Mkumbi. And then PS Justice, a question from Honorable Daka. Then procurement, I want you to come and reiterate your submission. And if we should take that as your submission, then you want us to remove the submission of the PS, because the PS has submitted and now it's contradicting with what you are saying. But I want you to come and repeat. So PS can proceed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. With regard to the question on why disciplinary action has not been taken yet, I wish to submit, Honorable Chairperson, that I think when we came initially to this committee, our position was different. And you recall, Honorable Chairperson, at the time, I had mentioned that there was a mix-up of the procurement processes. We have the simplified bidding, where the local purchase order, when issued, actually signifies the beginning of a binding relationship between the supplier and the client. That position cannot be assumed or cannot be translated to be the same with the open competitive bidding or tenders that are above $1 million kwacha, Honorable Chairperson. Because I think PS Justice is here, she can confirm, but the Public Procurement Act is very clear in terms of how you look at documents that are issued before the requisite authorities are given, and that includes the clearance of the contract document. So with hindsight, it's very clear that what we did was actually a procedural error. We should not have proceeded to effect payment on the basis of a local purchase order, because the Procurement Act does invalidate such documents, including the notice of award. You cannot issue a notice of award before you have clearance from Attorney General. So that position remains. Now, in terms of disciplinary, we have, particularly myself, I've had to stand back and try and get the bigger picture. And that's the reason why when Honorable Mwila did ask the question on the apparent, gaps where certain things were happening before they should, I had asked the indulgence of the committee, Honorable Chairperson, that I be allowed to go back and look at this matter. And from the assessment or the review of the transactions, that's what has actually brought out what we are discussing here in terms of the clear timelines. And you can clearly see that there were omission and gaps that were committed. If you look at the timelines, Honorable Chairperson, you'll find that up until the evaluation process, everything was going on well. Things started going wrong after the evaluation process. But that is already after the Ministerial Procurement Committee had already met and given their approvals. Now, that doesn't justify those commissions that actually took place afterwards. Now, in terms of going forward, having this understanding and submitting to the committee, I am now, with this bigger picture that I'm looking at, need to establish every officer that was involved in the trail, so that, when my office does institute disciplinary action, it will not be an issue of officers saying no, they were not involved in the process. I submit.
Honorable colleagues, before PS comes in, the contract for supply of pontoon rehabilitation, it's got same issues with, so we can ask simultaneously even that one, so that we need to extinguish these issues and then we come up with a position. PS Justice, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honourable Member, for that question. So the reason that we decentralized is twofold. With the decentralization of judges to all the 10 provinces to try and enhance the access to justice and case flow management by the judiciary, we also need to have officers in those provinces. So the review of contracts is just an additional function that they carry out. And for that one, they still need to get the final clearance from the Attorney General. So so we thought we could take advantage of them to do everything that relates to the Attorney General's chambers. How far are we with the Attorney General's bill? I think I left that out. It is something that is still under review by the ministry, and we hope that we should be able to bring it during the February session. And last but not the least, I think in the initial submission that I had made, I had said for certain projects we do have standard contracts, but there are others that are a bit more technical. In the electricity sector, we're having huge contracts that have connection agreements that come in even before you conclude the project. The escrow account agreements and all those tend to be very technical, but with the number of them that are coming in, eventually we will pick out which clauses ultimately have to be provided for. But aside from that, there's also a checklist that has been provided as a standard operating procedure on what to look out for and what should ordinarily be the boilerplate provisions in a contract. I thank you.
PS Justice, I think the other issue Honorable Duck was trying to address, I think from time immemorial through this committee, we've seen a lot of lopsided contracts which are cleared by also Attorney General's chamber, some with compound interest, some with all these clauses. I think that's why we're asking if probably government through your ministry can come up with a standard contract so that we insulate government from losing funds, because basically there are businessmen in this country whose work is just to make sure that when government defaults, they start now pushing for interest, penalties, and what we've seen before this committee, even people claiming interest on that advance payment. Government has delayed an advance payment, they take government to court, they start pushing. So that's why I think we're trying to understand. We have an interaction also with the Attorney General, but I think it will be important for government to come up with either a standard contract pertaining to particular contracts or procurements. If it's this is a standard contract. I think more to insulate government, not of course about specific performance for each party, but just to insulate government in an event that there's a dispute, there's a delay of payment, there's how then do we ensure that we are both sides are insulated. We're not taking things in a different perspective. Yes, we know there are certain world agreements in terms of contracts, but I think it's also important for us to come up with something which is government based, and this is what we want as government, to ensure that we avert loss of public funds. I think that's what we want also to hear from you, if that's possible. If yes, the Attorney General's bill for us is to support progressive things which will ensure that government mitigates some of these delays, also which brings in price escalation to contracts, non-performance of contracts and all that. But I think we also want you to speak on that if there's any possibility to that effect. You can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. The concerns that the Honourable Chair has mentioned are the same concerns that we have as government, and they are coming from the highest level, particularly from the head of state. He has been concerned of past contracts that have also impact on the government and on the treasury ultimately. And so some of the standardization of contracts has taken that into consideration, but we also realize that we cannot work on our own, so we've been working with Ministry of Finance, and that provision has been expressly provided for in the Public Procurement Act, where if it has a financial implication, the Secretary to the Treasury should have a look at it, because sometimes the advance payments are so unreasonable that for the nature of the contract that is being given, they should not be given such colossal sums of money, especially in the absence of performance bonds and protections that safeguard the government. And so those are some of the things we're looking at, but we continue to rely upon our partners. In fact, there was even a proposal that we should have financial analysts in the ministry when it comes to the review of contracts for this very same reason, and it is something that is being considered. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lumai. Sorry, before we proceed, procurement. Honorable Mwila wants you to make your submission. Is that your submission that even up to today you are relying on that local purchase order as a form of contract? You can proceed through your PS.
Chair, I'd like to retract and agree with my PS. Actually, truly, I'd like to retract and agree with my my PS. He's put it very correctly, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way I know it, Chair. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, PS. I just want PS Transport and Logistics. Maybe before we proceed, Auditor General, make your submission. Then Honorable will come. Just a clarification on the same matter.
Thank you, Chair. I think the PS has clarified some key issues, but perhaps
You can switch off the mic. Switch off the mic.
just to find out, I think, whether this contract was cleared by ZPPA. I think that is just one issue we wanted just to clarify as auditors before we come to do the verification, if they can clarify on that. And maybe a concern, because we are looking at internal controls, something to protect the PS, okay, the internal audit, because these payments were done and they went through all these procedures. So maybe we needed to hear from the internal audit whether there were challenges. Why couldn't they stop these payments when there were no contracts? Because we have heard that this purchase order cannot, be looked at as a contract unless it is in the low value paper. So maybe the internal auditors could just highlight on this.
Thank you. Internal auditor can take a seat somewhere. I'll allow Honorable Lumai to proceed.
In the same vein, Mr. Chairman, I wanted the Director Procurement also to convince this committee, since this was a direct bidding, Mr. Chairman, as to whether 4.5 million was the true price for this machine.
Thank you. PS, I hope on this one, you were not on leave as this payment was being done. I want to understand what is your explanation on this, because the issues are the same with a Kalidec issue. What is really transpired? Because you also proceeded to do the same, pay before contract signing for the 1.8 million, as it were, for the aforesaid supply of pontoon rehabilitation materials. Maybe just put us to speed what transpired and what motivated the ministry to make this payment again with the same defects as the other one. PS, you can proceed. Then also take into consideration, Honorable.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. To answer the Auditor General's question in terms of clearance, the necessary authorities were obtained for the contract on the CTP from ZPPA, and on that account the Ministerial Procurement Committee also went ahead and made the award of the contract to the supplier in South Africa. Now, with regard to Menovo, you will notice, Honorable Chairperson, that these payments were made almost at the same time, and that was in December. I did indicate that I think I was coming back from leave, if I'm not mistaken, on January 2nd, 2025. By then the payments had already been done. So the two payments were made during that time when I was actually on leave. However, I think, like Director has indicated, when I did engage on the matter of Menov, there was that sense of urgency where we needed to work on the pontoons. But also the challenge that was there, Chair, was that the monies for this particular contract were only made available on the 31st, is it 31st? 30th December. And there was that, well, I would call it a sense of panic from management to ensure that the payment for the contract is actually made. But Director Planning can speak to that.
Director Planning. Don't worry, Director, there are plenty of mics. That one can your permanent mic can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. If my memory serves me right, procurement, to clarify this, for Minov it was competitive bidding. There were about 4 or 5 other suppliers who had bidded, and it was the lowest value that was selected. The challenge that was there was an issue of taxation, which when the supplier admitted that we could pay without the issue of the VAT, that was the only issue that was there with regard to the contract. But with regard to the value, they were the lowest.
Thank you, PS. There was a question from Honorable Umai, and also your internal audit to clarify that issue from Office of the Auditor General. Maybe you can proceed, PS, with this question, then internal audit will come through.
Sorry, Honorable Chairperson, the bucket seems to have leaked.
PS wanted you to convince this committee as to whether the 4.5 million was actually the actual price, because this was an internal engagement between your procurement and this company in South Africa. So we are saying, is this 4.5 million for this machine a correct sum, or it was just an agreement between the supplier and the procurement department to say you charge this amount of money? This is what is going to happen. I want you to clarify.
Honorable I want you to withdraw the last statement.
I withdraw the last statement, Mr. Chairman, but the PS can still proceed to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. PS, you can.
I've just forgotten the particular provision, but my colleagues are here, they can help me. Where you are doing a procurement involving a direct bid for a particular reason, maybe say franchise dealer of motor vehicles as an example. That particular provision, I think it's the ZPPA regulations. It speaks to the fact that you take the price that the supplier gives you as the price. You don't even have to subject it to the market price index. I think that's what the provision says. So I think at this point, maybe I'll address my case premised on that particular submission. Can you help me with that particular provision?
Procurement, you can proceed.
Chair, the provision is under Circular 16 of 2022, where we do not we take prices from franchise holders as the benchmark prices. That's what the circular said. Hence, we took the quotation, as it were, from the franchise holder. I submit, Chair.
Where's that circular? Or where is that regulation? Section 22 of whatever it is. Help us with that. Secretariat, if we have or if they have. PS, you can proceed. Or you've made your submission.
I've made my submission, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Lumai, is there any follow-up question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the reason why I asked that question, and both the PS and the Director Procurement, they have submitted that using that circular. Whatever the supplier says, you have got no road to say no or to argue. It is the position of the ministry, Mr. Chairman, that this country, Africa, is the sole supplier of this machine. Now, my follow-up question, Mr. Chairman, to this is, PS, are you telling this committee that these machines could only be procured from this supplier in South Africa worldwide? Because, Mr. Chairman, being a direct bidding, 4.5 million Zambian money is on the chopping board. Contract not yet signed, but money made. Payment is made. The contract is not yet signed. And then using that circular, the supplier says the machine is 4.5, and we proceed to make payments. So the clarification, I want the PS to tell this committee whether this is the only supplier to supply this machine worldwide, because there must be a justification where a supplier just says this machine is 4.5 million and you agree. I submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, colleagues. PS, you can react to that. I want us to make progress. We've been dealing with this issue. We should have position. The same with the second issue. Should have position, then we wind up with a Wavis Bay.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you can proceed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. For the region, in terms of the Southern African region, the supplier in South Africa is the sole supplier in the region. But in terms of worldwide, I want to believe that worldwide there must be other suppliers. So we are looking at the availability of the CTP within South Africa, and then also the issues of the compatibility, because the particular CTP was actually tailor-made for the GP. Is it GP? Thank you.
Thank you. Internal audit.
Good morning once again. To answer the question, the reason why the payments were made, it was because funding came in late. It actually came in on the second last day of the year, and there was a circular that if the funding is not used, it would be returned.
Internal audit, that is not even a reason internal audit should give us. So just you can withdraw that statement and say I don't have a submission. You cannot give us such a submission as internal audit. And PS, that's why I think I don't know if we advised you to come and appear with ST. Did we advise you?
You mentioned that you send an invitation to us.
Yes, so you should come and appear with ST, because we want to understand how possible you can be funded today and you're mopping tomorrow. Some are even funded, they don't know they're funded. 12 hours ago in the system they're funded. Tomorrow they're mopping up the money. We just want to understand the rationale which Treasury is using. It's either you're not just funded, period, forget. Whatever small money is remaining, sweep it and take it elsewhere, and take all those outstanding issues under Head 21, than to fund you Then now internal audit comes and gives us this submission that because money was going, so you now have to abrogate the law and make a payment. You are messing up somewhere and you're making good. It doesn't work out like that. I think PSC justice put it in plain and black and white. It does not insulate us to do that, even if it's an emergency. I think that's why certain procedures and government is considerate are put in place. So internal audit, I want you to withdraw that statement because it's on verbatim, it's recorded. Withdraw the statement which you've said.
I'm sorry, I withdraw the statement.
No, we don't say you need to be sorry, just withdraw the statement. Colleagues, do we have any more interaction with justice? Okay. So I think justice, we don't have any more interaction with you PS. I think mostly was just to come and highlight those issues. Or before she goes, because I want to release her. Okay, before you go, Honorable Mila has got a question for you.
Chair, I just want to take this opportunity as she goes to just mention that under the constraints that we are operating, please do your best. Chair, outside of this, but I think it's important she gets this feedback. In my constituency in Mufrira, we have a market. And the contract, as I was pushing with local government, for 3 months, the contract was just with the Ministry of Justice. I was pushing at the ministry, I went there several times, and they were just saying, we have not had feedback, no feedback. Now, even if you are so busy, but does 3 months justify that a contract can still be unchecked and no feedback? It only came back about 3 weeks ago. After 3 months in your office, Ministry of Local Government, you may check out this one, Kamchanga Modern Market in Mufura constituency. It stayed for 3 months, I repeat. I still find that unjustifiable, even if you have all the constraints that you are operating in. So please do your best and let's not be the reason why we are sitting here.
Thank you, Honorable Mula. PS, I'm just being told that you don't need to leave because we've got issues with the Wavis Bay litigation. I forgot about that one. I thought we were winding up, so we'll be moving to Wavis Bay. I think you Honorable Mula has got a very genuine complaint, and we also did that as a committee. I think we went through to that market in Kamchanga. We went to see it, and I think we did make certain recommendations. But suffice to say that, Honorable Mwila, I'm also thinking that as we meet ST, Attorney General can come, PS also Justice can come, because I want us to conclude these issues with all the people who make these decisions, to clear the contracts, to do the funding. Where people who have ministries who are saying we're funded late. Ministry of Livestock, 30 million a day before. How do you spend such kind of money? So we just want to see and understand the issues and in one room, and then make some recommendations. We agree on how government is going to make progress on the aforesaid. Honorable colleagues, I beg that we move to Wavis Bay. Then we wind up with Wavis Bay. So any PS, you did submit that you made contact with a mission in Namibia with the embassy, and what is the response? Did you write to them, or what transpired?
So we wrote through Foreign Affairs Honorable Chairperson, but as late as this morning, I was trying to engage with the ambassador in South Africa to just confirm that AUFS, in particular the shareholder, would be available for the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not manage to get through.
Colleagues, issues of the concession agreement. Government has paid bills on behalf of African Union Financial Services, which are accrued by themselves, and I think there were questions emanating to the actual concession agreement, and some of the obligations which were supposed to be done by the concessionaire, as well as obligations from government and the host country, and some of them were not adhered to as agreed to in the contract. I think these are the issues we're trying to ask the ministry way forward, and also how some of those can be mitigated, especially payments, because if those payments were done on behalf of the concessionaire, yes, we do agree the agreements are between countries, and I think we're going to have some friction if that was not done. But how then do we move forward to ensure that those funds are refunded or paid back by the aforesaid? I think those are some of the issues which were arising to that effect. We do know the owner is a Zambian, but based in South Africa, Mr. Ndambo being the shareholder to that company. So colleagues, you can have some points of clarification on that issue, and if they're still outstanding, then we have position on how to move forward as a committee, and justice is also here. I think they are aware, maybe they can also help us make progress. Honorable Olumai.
Mr. Chairman, the time we sat with the Minister of Transport, I think we asked all questions which this committee was supposed to ask. And we thought today, when I was coming, I thought the team was already here. Now the PS is saying he has done communication and he hasn't got any feedback. So, Mr. Chairman, it's just important that we request the PS to continue communicating until when those people they are available, because they are the ones now we need to ask questions. So we cannot close this matter. Yes. I'm saying we can only ask further questions when those people are available.
That's submission from Honorable Olumai. Any other submission? Honorable.
Yes, Chair, we did have an interaction with the PS. Then we asked quite a number of questions. What was just remaining was that particular component where we hear from the other colleagues there.
So PS, with that said, I think I don't know from your communications with the ambassador, when do they get back to you so that this issue can be extinguished? We can even do a virtual. If we're not saying we can even do a virtual. We've done a virtual before. We can do a virtual so that we quicken the processes, because we've also got timelines, honorable colleagues. We are not going to sit and just wait for the person to be found. This report needs to be on floor of the House, and we need to have to make progress. So PS, I don't know what you're going to tell this committee when you can get back to Secretariat as in terms of communication and feasible, so that we can set up time to just come and interact on this particular matter of the concession agreement. PS.
I would request the indulgence of the committee, Honorable Chairperson, that possibly we use today and tomorrow to get in touch and firm up the availability of the concessionaire for an appearance before PAC. And I'm glad that you've mentioned that virtual is also a possibility, so they don't need to be physically here, but they can also make presentations to the committee using virtual facilitation. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, any points of clarification? We've agreed on that issue. It will be in abeyance until I think communication is done, and then we can make progress. Justice, do you have anything on this issue? We can proceed.
Chair, just to say that from our end, we had commenced the process of, we served a letter of demand on the company, and we did receive an acknowledgement on the 9th of September. the acknowledgement we received from the companies that they have referred the matter to their legal firm and that they would get back to us in due course in response. Secondly, Chair, we have also noted from deliberations with our colleagues from the Ministry of Transport, from the Office of the Auditor General, as well as the Office of the President Special Division, that there's a possibility that the company is under liquidation, and so we had proposed that a joint team do go and find out who the liquidator is, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we can still save the liquidator and we can still secure the funds that are outstanding to the country. And so in addition to that, we will also have to commence procurement of legal services in Namibia, because we do not have jurisdiction there if the liquidation was done in the Republic of Namibia. And so that is the update that we have as the Ministry of Justice. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think also justice and the ministry is very, very important that we are certain if liquidation has happened, so that we quickly get hold of the liquidator so that we can pass on our date, so that he has it on the list saying this company owes the Republic of Zambia so much money. I think we've had that issue with Nyombo, where they're concerning the $3.5 million which was paid to them, which was supposed to go where they had assigned receivables, which we are grappling with the Minister of Finance. And now I think the liquidation process has been concluded. They did not rush to the liquidator. So please, even when you're running around doing all those things, let's ascertain who the liquidator is and pass it on, at least so that it's within time, so that we can just ensure that we protect ourselves. So with that said, colleagues, if there are no questions, PS, the issues of these contracts, the one for ITP, the one for CTP, and the one for the pontoon materials, it should never happen, PS, never happen. Even those your colleagues will be acting, you are not there, it should never happen. Because you see, even if there's an emergency, there are certain procedures which need to be followed. So we cannot make an advance payment without the contract, without the clearance. Even if we are funded the day before, I think that should not happen in your ministry. It's very, very important that we adhere to the Public Financial Act as well as the Public Procurement Act vis-a-vis these issues of payment, especially on contracts. It's straightforward. I think it shouldn't have some reason like the reason which your internal audit was given. That's not right. It should never happen. She's the one who's supposed to flag it. This is not there. Where do we base our payment? Even if a bond is there, it's based on which contract? Contract is not cleared. It only becomes when do you have a legal relation with a supplier? Only when you append the signature. Okay, you append the signatures, PS and head of procurement, then now you have got a legal relation. Even if you want to sue, I can even get the payment and vanish. I have no contract with you. You are going to sue me based on what? I have not signed on anything. You have no legal recourse. So I see very, very important, PS, that they look small and simple. You are lucky because eventually there was delivery, there was performance on the contract, but that does not extinguish the way the process was done. It shouldn't happen like Director Finance, you are there. Those issues should not happen like that. You are there to advise the PS. You are technical people. Help the PS. And I know PS knows these things from the background and where he comes from. He knows these things. So help the PS and other directors also who act when he's not available, and also the senior management in the ministry. This should not happen. It does not even need us to sit here the whole day to start talking about issues which are straightforward. PS. Yes, we've agreed on the issue of the Wavis Bay. I think we have got keen interest in it, and we should expedite the process so that we can ensure that we come to the conclusion. And also from the Ministry of Justice perspective, very important that we also expedite the process. We will also, I think, pass word to to Attorney General that this thing should be done in a quickest possible time. We've got a precedence with finance. They were here, so I think we don't want transport to have the same issue. PS, there are issues to do with staff discipline, irregular payment of accountable interest, failure to remit pay as UN. Director Finance, pay as UN. Shouldn't fail to remit pay as UN. We deduct, we pay. I think those are issues which PS want you to tackle administratively and ensure that that is done. We'll give our recommendation, but that should be tackled administratively, because we know payroll issues also are very important. I think 50% of our budget is payroll related, so we need to ensure that those are also mitigated. So all in all, PS, we want you, as you go back, please kindly work on some of these things, and also do sit with your senior management. Like you've submitted to us these justifications and timelines and what you want to do. We've gotten your submissions, but go and sit with them. This should sync now with them, and they should implement and ensure that they help the ministry moving forward. So with that said, PS, the two permanent secretaries were grateful for coming before this honorable committee. I wait that you quickly get back to us on the aforesaid issue, then we can make progress. So we do thank you most sincerely for your time and coming before this honorable committee to make your submission and also answer some questions which were raised by the Office of the Auditor General. With that said, PS Transport and the PS Justice immunity is lifted, and you are free to go. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.